Hey everyone, we're Matt and Katie, two 30-somethings living in an off-grid cabin in northern Minnesota. We share our life at our homestead, the trials and tribulations of off-grid living, and everything outdoor adventure and dogs. This week's episode is a Q&A of all the questions viewers like you sent in over the last 2 weeks. Our hope is that it lets you in on a little bit more about us. We did our best to answer all of them. If we missed your question, or if you have more, feel free to leave them in the comments below. We'll start out on a morning hike and jump right into them. Thanks for watching.
Careful for the trees. I'm gonna go down the back. Matt has a list of questions here and that you asked us, and we are going to answer them in the snowy wilderness.
How did you two meet? Do you have plans to start a family? And where do you see yourself in 5 years?
It's a loaded question.
Katie and I met when a friend brought us, asked if we both wanted to go out to a brewery, and we met, and I had just adopted Wallace that day, a little puppy.
He was really cute.
And so we started talking just through Facebook and stuff like that.
That was the first time we ever met.
The first time we ever met. Probably a year and a half later.
Yeah, roughly.
One of my best friends, Tony.
Yeah, about a year.
He watches the video, so hey, Tony.
Shout out to Tony.
And Monica as well. And he and Katie were trying to through hike the Superior Hiking Trail, which is up here where we live.
It's a long trail, Minnesota's long trail.
Yeah, it follows the whole north shore of Lake Superior. And I came up to just give them support. Met them out for beers on a little restaurant you could get off the trail at.
Was that in Lutsen?
Yeah, in Lutsen. And then hiked for a few days with them heading south. And
we consider our first day at the end of that trip.
Yeah, we consider our first date at Temperance River, searching for agates at the beach. And yeah, it was just a very organic way to meet through friends. And
how many years later now? 8?
8.
Wow, we're coming up on 10.
Yeah, years later, 2 more years.
We do not have plans to start a family.
No, we do not.
Will be childless by choice.
Yes. We made the choice at the beginning of our relationship that we were not going to have kids.
Yeah, we were on the same page.
Yeah, so.
Always have those conversations?
Early. And 5-year plan?
Hopefully we're still here.
Yeah, hopefully we're still here. That's our
not
current plan.
On the planet, just like in the... I mean, not two, but just at the cabin, yeah. On this property.
But we'll go into that in more detail with other questions. So let's get back to the hike.
Okay, one of the questions was, how far do we have to walk from the cabin to our truck? And that trail is 0.6 miles. I don't know what the conversion is in kilometers, but I'm sure Matt will put it on the screen here.
It's also 100 feet of elevation gain from the truck to our cabin.
So it's basically uphill from the truck to the cabin and downhill from the cabin to the truck.
Next question on our list. What made you decide to live off-grid?
Look around.
This, yeah. Growing up, I did a lot of fort building as a kid.
Me too,
I lived
me
in lived in a place with a lot of nature outside.
We had a cabin that we would go and just be outside all day.
Growing up, I came up to this area quite often when I was younger, so it's always been home to me.
Partially why we want to live in northern Minnesota, because we freaking love it here. Do you want to answer that other question of like why somebody asked?
Yeah, somebody asked, why did you leave Utah for northern Minnesota, to be off-grid in northern Minnesota?
Other than family, which obviously is a big part of why we moved up here.
Yeah.
But we like how much water is here, and there's less wildfires. Not no wildfires, but less wildfires. The air quality's better.
Yeah, I mean, leaving Salt Lake, that was a big part of it. Was Great Salt Lake will be gone in 5 years probably, and there's a lot of heavy metals and other things that will be in the air. And
we love Salt Lake because there's so much adventure and places to explore, less because of the air quality and the mountain lions.
Not that there aren't random mountain lions up here.
Yeah, just not as many. But we really love Salt Lake and the surrounding Utah area. There's just so much to explore. But there's also so much to explore here, and we really like the forest and the water and canoeing and all the activities that come with Northern Minnesota.
Hiking, biking.
Hiking, biking, mountain biking, gravel biking, fat biking, all the biking.
And also, you said not family, but family was definitely a driving factor, and then friends as well. I mean, I grew up my whole life in Minnesota. Katie went to school in Minneapolis at the University of Minnesota. So we have a lot of friends and family in the area. So
and nobody really talks about how hard it is to make friends as adults. I feel like.
Especially after COVID. And
yeah, so we just like didn't have the community in Salt Lake that we had hoped for, and we basically immediately have it coming back here. So
yeah.
Someone also asks, what do we do for work outside of the property, or do we work outside the property? And I do. I work as an emergency vet, and I work at one of the closest to where we live, one of the closest ER veterinary clinics. So I commute a couple times a month, work for a couple shifts, and then come back home.
And loading the wood stove is my full-time job. So somebody asked, what do you do, or what things do you enjoy to pass the time?
This is one of them. Snowshoeing, exploring the woods. We like to bike, run, play with the dogs, mush. What else?
Canoe?
Canoe.
Hike?
Camp.
Camp?
Be outside. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you jumping in the snow? Wow, he's jumping in the snow. He's jumping.
How did you acquire your property? And how much land do you have, and have you talked about ways you can use it best?
We kind of serendipitously acquired our property through somebody we knew. It wasn't even listed listed for sale anywhere. We just knew that through this other person that the seller was wanting to sell, and we
made him an offer. He accepted.
Yeah. And we have 120 acres.
Was it future plans? Was that the last part?
What do you want to do with it?
Oh yeah. So, I mean, we are homesteading it. It is the place that we plan to live for good. So in the future, we'd love to make a guest cabin. We'd love to...
I'm getting chickens.
And get chickens. Somebody asked if we will have a garden. Yes, we will put in a garden, probably starting with pots first, and then making raised beds, and in the future probably have a greenhouse. We hope to build our forever home here, our dream home. I'd love to do a lot of the work myself, and we have a lot of things that we are inspired by and enjoy, so we're hoping to incorporate all of that.
We're not expecting to build a house for a few years, so we'll probably live in the cabin for a while still, and
make it work.
Yeah, it's been going great.
All right, one of the questions was, what do we do with waste and trash? Well, so we live far enough out in the wilderness that we have to hike our trash and recycling to town. No, not to town. I said we have to hike all of our trash to town.
That would be so far. You should talk about our water though too.
Water!
We don't have a well yet. We were probably going to get one in the future, but we don't have one right now, so we go and get water in town.
We have 6 of these aquatainers, and we usually fill once a week in town at a water station, and it's a chore because 2 of these jugs is 100 pounds. Have we given a cabin tour yet?
We have not given a cabin tour yet. Here's our tour of our kitchen. Official tour. We plan to, and we'll probably have a whole video of that. It's not much to tour, it's tiny, but we can include some of the property maybe. Does anyone else eat while they're cooking? Because we often wait until we're too hungry and then I eat snacks while I'm cooking.
What are you cooking tonight?
We're making chili and cornbread.
So one reason we have not given a tour is because we don't have all of our stuff here yet. Things are still in storage because winter hit and it is pretty impossible to get stuff back here. As you can see, we're sledding stuff in 0.6 miles, so doing that with big things and stuff is not very easy. Also, we have plans to put up shelves. It's been so cold, or there's been plenty of other things we've been doing that haven't really got around to it yet. But once that does happen, we will give a whole tour. Generically, kitchen. We used to have our dining table here, but we moved it over here, which it's now just covered in stuff. And then here's our little living room. Futon, which we will put a queen size futon out soon, but this is a full currently. Just a chair. In the future, we would like to have a big comfy chair kind of in that corner, and that'll be bookshelves over there. This goes up to our loft bedroom. We just have a queen size bed up there and plan to make storage, but currently it's just a mess of stuff. Entryways over there. This stairwell, on the opposite of going upstairs, goes down to our wood stove. So we were asked if we would put a wood stove on our main level. We have talked about putting a wood stove here and just using this chimney out. And then downstairs putting a propane heater. But we are uncertain if that is the way we should go, or if we should put the propane heater on the main floor and just use the wood stove downstairs. We definitely have noticed that not having insulation on the walls, which a lot of you have mentioned in the comments, is something that would probably make the house warmer. When it's cold out, really, really cold out, below zero, that's when we have a difficult time. Mainly because all of the windows will have ice, the front door, you can feel breeze coming through. There's plenty of airflow coming in when it gets really, really cold. Other than that, if it is 15 degrees, we can go down and load the wood stove every couple hours, and it is absolutely perfect in here. If it's any warmer than that, we basically load the wood stove once, and it keeps it at temp all day. People also asked about registers. There's a register here. There's one under this futon, which maybe it's not the best to have that. One right back there in that corner. One where Katie is standing there. One on the wall there. So there's a bunch of spots where air can circulate up from the basement.
So I'm getting ready to take the dogs out for a run. And we decided in this Q&A video, we're gonna hold on the questions about the dogs because there were a lot of them. So we're gonna make a single video to answer all of your dog questions and mushing questions to the best of our ability.
So someone asked, is there anything we would like to change? Number one, this hill. The first snowfall of the year, I slipped and fell 3 times going down it because it was really wet and slippery snow. It's not so bad when it's nice and cold out. Currently it's 0 degrees. But I also have kind of notched in a few spots. We just had a big 5-inch snowfall, so they're not really showing much anymore. But I did notch in with a shovel some things to step on. But in the future, we would like to basically make big, giant, long steps to make it go down nice and easy. The sled will still be able to roll for, you know, coming down with firewood. But number one thing we would like to change. So this other building on our property, a bear did some damage to it. It is an outhouse. Just a big hole in the ground. In the future, we would like to do septic, as some of you have asked if we were going to do septic. Otherwise, in this area, in this county, we are supposed to have a holding tank. I think this was grandfathered in as, you know, something that we purchased, but we would like to fill this hole in sooner than later and either get a holding tank type outhouse situation that you can get a truck in and get it pumped out, or else a septic system that, you know, hopefully You don't have to get it pumped out as often, but they're expensive, so not something we're gonna do right away. But the back side of this is a storage shed. I have a bunch of my tools in here, and the previous owner left us a bunch of cedar boards that he did this shed with. So we might have to repurpose those in the future. In the future, when we fill in the hole, it would be nice to open this up and just have one big giant storage shed. We did have the question, will you make it to spring with the firewood you have? That rack, the main rack I was pulling off of, is now empty. I started pulling off that one, so you can see a handful of logs. You know, it was like 5 feet tall. It's still close to a full cord, probably a little bit less than a full cord. That is a stack I've been pulling off most recently. And then we'll go to the back here. The stacks to the side of the door, that one has had some wood pulled off of it when we don't want to go and fill up. But those are over a whole cord of wood. And then this one is pretty much down to the wood that was stacked in the backyard when we first moved in. I think, crossing my fingers, we still are on target to get through till spring. The thing about spring, summer here is spring could start in March, or you know, it could go all the way until the end of May with winter. So we'll have to see. Supposedly the most cold weather is behind us, and you know, getting into February pretty quick. That should hopefully be the main month that we're worried about. March can be more snowy, but a little bit warmer. And if the temperature is 15 and above, we don't have to worry too much. When it gets below zero, we just had 3 straight days of negative 20 degrees. It's hard to keep the wood stove going to keep it up to like 60 degrees. So you're putting a lot of wood on that fire. Somebody did ask, how do we heat our cabin? And our source of heat is wood. We have a wood stove in our basement. It is rated for 1,200 to 2,000 square feet, and the cabin is only in the high 600 range. So it does a pretty decent job. It's just when it's really, really cold that we have an issue. We are hoping to, in the future, get a propane heater, as we have a 500-gallon propane tank. Currently, you know, we have 2 cats, 3 dogs that live inside, 2 dogs that live outside. And so all the indoor animals, if we want to be gone, like if we want to make a trip down to see family or something like that, being gone for 6, 7, 8 hours in the day, you can't get the cabin up to a temperature that's going to stay all day long. So if we had a propane heater that we could just set to 50 degrees to keep, to take the edge off, and then have the wood stove be, you know, that backup heat, or that heat that puts it over the top, that would be wonderful. So that's what we're going to look into in the future.
Good dog.
Just loaded up all the firewood. Here's where we're at. If you don't like seeing dead animals, look away. This is your warning. But moving all this wood, look what I just found. Ooh. A star-nosed mole and 3 little mice. We have been seeing an ermine jumping around, a little white weasel. Has his winter coat. But yeah, sitting in the outhouse. He's just been hopping around out here. I'm pretty sure he is storing dead bodies for meals to come up. So I might just put this back under the tarp and kind of leave it for him. One other regret I think that I have is not replacing this front door when we first moved here. We have wanted to. We kind of planned to. As you can see, when it gets really cold out, there is light shining through. Ice, you can feel a breeze. The bottom of the door had to put in a new strip to kind of keep the air from coming in, but it still has frozen in the past. See more freezing and stuff there. So what camera equipment do we use? We use 2 GoPros. We have a 7 and 9. We have had that since we started our channel when we were doing van build content. We also have a Sony a7S III that Katie had for photography in the past, and so that films as well, but I don't usually pull that one out. A lot of times it's just the GoPros because they're easy and can take abuse. The video editing software that we have, which was also a question, is Premiere Pro. It's an Adobe product. It's what I started editing with, and it works for us. So
we have the Adobe Suite, so I use Lightroom most of the time for photo editing, and then yeah, it comes with both of those.
Photoshop for some of the thumbnails and different things as well.
Oh, he's going upside down. Oh, he's going upside down. He's being crazy. He's being crazy. Are you being crazy?
Do you have to follow township and county codes? So we are in a district that is pretty rural, that you can do a lot of things on your property, but the county does expect you to get permits for everything, and they do have county assessors that will come to people's property to find out if they're doing things that they're not permitting. So we definitely will be applying for permits for anything that we do on our property. We touched on this a little bit already, but we've had quite a few questions about future plans for our property, things that we would like to do, how we want to use the land, that kind of stuff. So one of our top priorities is a guest cabin, which we said earlier, because this place is pretty small, and just having Katie's parents come last week was pretty cramped. They had,
especially with dogs.
Yeah,
you know.
They had cots in this area, and our living room was all set up differently, so we did our best to make a little bit more room, which it seems more roomy. But yeah, so a guest cabin is huge. We also want to do a bathhouse, mainly a sauna, because we love sauna culture, and we need a way to bathe, so probably having a shower in that. And then in the future, currently we have an outhouse, as I showed you earlier. We probably want to do some kind of septic system to be able to flush the toilet or plumbing, yeah. And we're planning to get a well as well. And a couple of people asked about the driveway. We currently have this hiking path in. In the summertime, we can take a longer trail around that in the winter is used for sled dog outfit. And so we can't really use that to get in the winter. Somebody asked, will you use the path to like widen the path to get cars back here? We had always had plans to build a driveway, and it would be separate from that path so that we could still utilize the path as a hiking trail, snowshoe trail, stuff like that, because we did all the work to put it in. But we've also, over the last so many months, I guess, with hiking in the winter, we've talked about maybe we should just put a garage further out on the property, closer to the main road, and then still hike in a part of the way. But it would still be wide enough that we could get cars back here, snowmobiles, whatever it be. So
that might just save us some money in putting the driveway in, because it would be a very long driveway. And if we end up doing the driveway ourselves, it might save us some time and labor.
Yeah. There's a lot of planning still to come around.
Yeah, we don't know quite yet exactly what it's gonna be, but there will be some sort of driveway. We'll be able to get very close to the cabin.
Yeah. Other future plans?
I don't know. We haven't really touched on this, but with plumbing and septic and all of that, I don't know that we're gonna retrofit the cabin with those things.
Right.
Kind of like the cabin-y, so we might leave that, and then whenever we build a house, do all those things for that.
Yep.
And I don't think you talked about it at all, but we want to add more trails.
Yeah, that is definitely a big thing. We want to do
single track and
lots of single track for
track.
Biking, hiking, running, those types of things, and then some double track probably to be able to hopefully ski as well in the winter, that we can maybe groom trails in the winter, because currently the way the trails are groomed, it wouldn't be fun for skate skiing at all, and it's not something that we should go and groom that because it's used for dog sledding and stuff like that. So,
but our property does butt up to a lot of public land, so like the trail that we have, we can get to a bunch of other trails really easily once we're able to like get out and explore, or have a snowmobile or with the dogs?
Probably a shed to be able to house our dog sled.
Oh, and then you said it briefly, but a garage.
Yeah, we definitely like to do a garage in the future that...
We've talked about a little riding cabin or little blinds. I would like to just have like little benches on wherever we put up trails so that we can go out and have like a mindful walk and journal or whatever. What's the YouTube channel that we follow? Stefano Ianero, the Wildlife Homestead, and
we'll link it below.
Yeah, we really like what he's doing as far as like trying to increase diversity of bird species and mammal species and things on his property. So that's kind of something we want to try to do too, like encourage more wildlife to exist. There is wildlife here, but there's not a ton of wildlife here, and there's not a lot of birds.
Right.
We've only seen a few species of birds, a couple types of woodpeckers, a couple winter birds, obviously, and like ravens, but not even a lot of any of those.
And I think a big reason being we are in the middle of the forest, away from places that they know they can get food, so there's not many things bringing them here yet. So hopefully that will change.
And that would be the goal.
Yeah.
Bring them here. Did you talk about what we do for showers already?
No. What does your shower, bathing, bathroom situation look like without traditional plumbing?
We currently, we've only really been here in late shoulder season and winter. So our current setup is we go into town and the Y has like a free day on Fridays for locals. So we go and it's like our town day. When it's warmer, we did have a gravity shower set up, and that was very convenient and kind of nice. So I think we'll probably do that again in the summer until we get something else set up.
There are pump systems with propane heaters, so even in the winter, late fall, early spring, if we had some way of heating a little building, we could still have a shower here. So that's something that we'll long-term plan, having a bathhouse that would be able to utilize that. Hopefully sooner than later.
I guess in between going to town for showers, there's a lot of baby wipes.
Yeah, a lot of baby wipes.
Hopefully we can minimize that a little bit, having some sort of bath situation.
I guess to go a little more detail on gray water, we usually hike a ways away from the cabin, and we do our best not to put food scraps down our gray tank. We usually get everything in the trash can that we can, and for soaps and stuff we use biodegradable soap. So we do our best not to be putting it into the environment and either hurting the environment or trying to bring critters that we don't want around the cabin.
Yeah.
In case of emergency, do you guys have any kind of plan?
Currently, no.
Currently, no.
We should.
We were very thankful that somebody commented this, because it's something that we definitely should talk through and do a better job of planning.
My biggest concern is if something happened, what do we do with the dogs?
Yeah.
So and the cats. So getting creatures away from the cat. Like if there was a wildfire, I have plans to put together a wildfire kit. So we have food for everybody, supplies. Just you could take the 2 bags and go. Basically, is the goal of that. As part of that.
Well, hello, Sigurd.
Oh, Mr. Sigurd! Hi, Mr. Sigurd. And currently, emergency services can't get back here.
Yeah, there's no real.
So we're very careful.
Yeah.
Try to be very careful.
I mean, if something were to happen, we would need to hike out to the main road. There is a helipad nearby, so if there was a major emergency like that, an ambulance evac type thing would have to come, that would be something we would have to hike out to and drive out to. Hopefully we are currently healthy enough that we won't have to worry about any major medical emergencies. We know if parents come to visit or other older relatives or friends, maybe that could be a worry. Otherwise, just playing it safe and
wear all of our protective gear, goggles and ears, and go slow, and
chaps for the chainsaw.
Yeah, don't take any risks, really.
Yeah. I mean, we take risks, but
Well, not like some people take
That's
risks.
true. That's true. Yes. Do you carry protection in case you would run into wolves or bear?
We don't.
We don't, no.
The risk of bears and wolves is so low.
Yeah.
We only have black bears here. We don't have any brown bears or grizzly bears. We have other predators are like wolves, bobcats, things like that. In general, wolves make themselves scarce when people are around. Especially the wolves up here. They're not acclimated super well to people. You know, they're not getting scraps and things like that. So if they're hearing people, they're going the other direction. The one risk that we balance is when we have the dogs out off leash. And we kind of hope that our presence will help prevent wolves from being around. It is more often dogs that are alone that come in contact with wolves that get killed. So our presence makes a big difference there. It is a risk when we have them out and off leash. Less so with Frank and Wallace because they stay very, very close. More so with Sigurd, who goes a little bit further.
Yeah.
But again, he's big, and I think it's very low risk.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess the only other major wildlife that I would worry about is moose. We haven't come across one yet, so
Yeah. They're probably the most dangerous creature in the forest.
Way
here.
more than wolves or bears.
Yeah, because they will stomp.
They'll stomp.
Especially dogs. They think dogs are wolves, and they have an innate fear of wolves.
They'll stomp a person too. So
they will, yeah.
But
mainly
again,
during the rut.
But again, like the moose around here, they're not like moose that live near or around towns. Like, you know, like sometimes the moose in Alaska are just like, we just live in this town.
Yeah.
And they aren't like that. They're like moose that live way in the depths of the woods that almost never see people. They make themselves scarce. So during the rut, yeah, the risk is a little bit bigger, higher. But again, we haven't seen any, and it kind of coincides with the deer hunting season, so a lot of times we're being more careful anyways because we don't want the dogs to accidentally get shot by hunters. So more on leash stuff, and they're wearing orange, and you know, we're not going into the public lands that where hunters are. So in general, the risk is quite low. Would having a gun make our safety better? No. I don't think so.
We do have we do have a can of bear spray that like we've used in grizzly country and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or had on us in grizzly country and stuff like
so
that.
Like maybe.
So I mean, if we ever felt like there was a wolf pack that was coming close to houses on a regular basis, maybe we would have that on us. But
maybe
the chances of protecting with that compared to a gun is
and also
a lot higher.
A human has not been attacked by a wolf in over 100 years. So. Yeah. I'm not worried about myself. I'm more worried about the dogs.
Yeah, it's all about the dogs for sure.
Yeah. When we were talking about our fencing, there was a lot of people that were very concerned about the effectiveness of our fence in keeping out critters. And I think everyone just needs to understand that, like, bears aren't trying to get into our backyard.
Yeah.
And wolves are most definitely not trying to get into our backyard. Getting through fences is a learned behavior, and unless they've had the reinforcement of getting through a fence and something being on the other side, or the fence goes up after they've accessed that reinforcer already, wolves are not going to try to get through our fence to get to the dogs, and bears very likely are not going to be trying to get through the fence either.
And we do, like, currently we do not keep any garbage, food scraps, anything like that outside. Everything we bag up, put in the basement, and when we get to a certain point where it fits in the sled, we sled it out and then bring it to a waste management.
Yeah, so we're like minimizing attractants to bring in that wildlife, and we have a ton of dogs. So like, things aren't just coming for us.
Yeah.
Mostly the fence is to keep the dogs in.
I guess the main thing for safety, we do carry Walkie Talkies. RockyTalkies, it's a brand that's made for rock climbing, and they're have really decent battery life and all that. So a lot of times, like for sledding and stuff like that, we'll carry these around the property, and we can hear each other from within the mile, basically. Yeah. So that's something that we carry on a regular basis.
We have a Garmin InReach.
Yeah, we do have a Garmin InReach.
Which we haven't been using a ton, but we will.
We do have a prescription. We have we have a subscription service to that. That's something where you can share your location if there's any issues, whether it be like camping. I last time I used it was a bike packing trip in Colorado, so I could tell Katie where I was when I didn't have cell service. So that was something that was helpful. How do you handle emergencies, medical care? So we.
Did we just answer that?
Yeah.
The same question?
I was just gonna say we do have medical insurance.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So there's a local hospital that we can go to, clinic, all that stuff. So monthly. Yearly physical, that kind of stuff we try to keep up on, and we're fairly healthy individuals, so.
We don't have health insurance through the job that I have, so we just pay for private health insurance, which is...
Yeah. We're proponents of universal health care.
Yeah.
How do you ensure personal safety? I guess that was one of the things with the Walkie Talkie. If we ever wanted to carry bear spray, we could.
Can you stop, please? Thanks.
Otherwise, just being careful.
Yeah, mitigate risk.
Yeah. So John had a quote that he shared, mind the gap between the plan and reality. And he asked, being full-time, is there a didn't see that coming moment, or that went just like we planned moment?
I feel like everything's been a didn't see that coming moment. Or like the thing that could happen did happen.
In what way, I guess?
Like the fence. Like, this will be simple. No, how we hit bedrock on every single pole.
Yeah, yep. That was a very frustrating video. I didn't add any of the F-bombs or
the infighting we had. We knew there was a lot of rocks around here. We didn't think we would hit rock every single pole.
Yeah.
So maybe we would do that differently.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the quote, mind the gap between the plan and reality.
You have to be flexible.
Just thinking about our YouTube journey, that seems to be the way things go with like building our van and just making videos. Everything takes 3 times longer than you expect it will. So there's always those hiccups. In the past, it was very easy to go to Home Depot or Lowe's when we were working on the van, but
multiple times in a day.
But now it's very difficult, where it's a couple hours to get to one of those stores. And the hardware stores in town have prices that are elevated because everything gets shipped in a ways.
You have to plan a little bit more.
Yeah, a lot more planning and obviously, reality is not always the...
And we just have to be flexible. You know, we are going to hit barriers, and we just have to kind of work through it.
We like to roll with the punches and just see how it goes.
Sometimes. Sometimes we're very rigid, and one mishap throws us into a spiral.
Yeah.
That happens.
And that'll be 5 videos from now. How are you liking or not liking living there? What would you like to change? I've kind of touched on some of the things I'd like to change, like the front door and the hill on the side, making it a nicer platform stairs type thing. Otherwise, I think we are very much enjoying living here.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful.
This is exactly what we were hoping for in life. For multiple years, we've talked about doing something like this, and the time has finally come. So
yeah. Just get to walk outside and be in nature.
Yeah.
For miles. It's amazing.
Yeah.
No people. We don't see a soul. No other dogs.
Can it get any better than that?
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, I just took Siggy for a walk this afternoon, and it was just like beautiful sunlight, winter, through the forest, no other dogs. The only thing I was worried about was like maybe wildlife if we see it, but we haven't seen any yet. And
a lot of people talk about the cold and how, oh my gosh, like you're just going to live in your cabin and not do anything. But even in the freezing cold town, I mean,
we're outside every day.
Today was 0 degrees and you were out with the dogs.
Yeah. And I was hot. I was wearing I was just wearing an underlayer and my parka, and I was hot.
Yeah. So yeah, it's something that you acclimatize to and feel.
And if you just wear the right layers, like we have all the right gears, like layers and gear and clothes. No bad weather. Just bad layers, bad clothes.
Yeah, it's true. Future plans. How long do you see yourself living at that location? Have you considered a 10-year plan? Yeah, I mean
Forever.
This is a place that we saw and immediately felt like home, and the process of being able to give an offer and do all that stuff, we were like, it couldn't come soon enough. We love this place. I think there's enough property that we can build our dream home 10 years from now. That could be the 10-year plan. You know, it's a lot of saving up to put up a big house and do all the things that we will need, and things up here are expensive. So
we got time.
Yeah, all the time in the world. We have a roof over our heads. What else do we need? You want to say anything more about the dogs? Stay tuned. There will be another Q&A video just about our dogs. I will say it is a new hobby. Somebody did ask that. It is a new hobby.
Yeah.
Katie has been doing vet work for sled dogs for a decade.
At least, yeah.
So it's always been something she's wanted to do. And I'm getting dragged along with it.
Only semi-unwillingly.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun.
When you tell someone, I want to have a dog kennel and have many dogs, you can only expect so much enthusiasm. But Matt's a dog person, so he's been game. Really, our goal is to be able to do some adventure trips with them into the Boundary Waters.
Yeah, the Boundary Waters canoe area is in our backyard, basically. So,
and you
doing
can,
big expeditions.
in the winter, you don't need a permit, and you can take the dogs into the wilderness. So that's kind of our goal, is to have enough dogs to do that.
Yeah. In correction, you do need a permit, but it's free.
You do?
You have to do a
Oh, just like day of.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have
Just
to there's no lottery.
So if you go out there and die,
They know where you are.
Go missing, they know where you are.
So that's kind of our goal, to do like adventure stuff with the dogs.
If you guys are into canoeing, the Boundary Waters are opening their permit system January 29th. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was in March.
No, January 29th this year. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know there were a lot of questions to get to. If we missed yours by accident, leave us another comment and maybe we can touch on it here in the future. Also, when we hit 10,000 subscribers, we'd really like to do a live Q&A type video just to say thank you to everyone. So hopefully that'll come sooner than later.
We're almost there.
And yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell to be notified as we post new content. We'll have that dog sledding, sled dog mushing Q&A coming up here in the future, as well as plenty of other things. So hope you guys have a great week.
Well,
See you later.
Bye.